Globalization is the exchange of products, ideas, and culture between countries. As we explore the world's globalization between economy, human rights, and politics, Jim from America and Maria from Brazil have offered to help us put them into different scenarios to help further explain our knowledge on globalization.
Countries can provide goods and services to corporations and consumers around the world. Some countries only have certain goods and services but are able to trade between other countries around the world.
Jim is an example of free trade. Being from America, he helps America as a whole to get ahead. Economic free trade creates more interaction between countries. However, developing countries cannot always compete with developed countries. Maria from Brazil is a fair trader. She helps individual producers and tries to help them move up economically and in their social standings.
An embargoed country is one that cuts off any trading ties between themselves and other countries. Some examples are Cuba, North Korea, and Iraq.
A tariff is used to raise import costs. In the 1960s, America came up with the Smoot-Hawley Act that raised import taxes to 60%. However, it backfired when the rest of the world raised their import taxes 60% as well.
For an example of a subsidy, let's say Jim is a farmer. He bought a huge plot of land for $1 million to grow apples. Unfortunately for Jim, the land experienced a huge drought and all of his produce except 3 apples were wiped out. So now if he wants to make any sort of money, he needs to sell each of his apples for $333,333.33. Luckily, using a subsidy, it makes the government tell Jim that they will pay him back all his expenses as long as Jim sells his apples for a low price. Therefore, Jim will eventually make profit and never go into debt.
Another piece of globalization is human rights, or the lack of human rights. Jim and Maria are sad because unfortunately the WTO, or the World Trade Organization, doesn't include human rights in their corporation. This means Jim and Maria won't be able to benefit from food, education, electricity, and healthcare.
Today, Maria wanted to move to the USA from Brazil because she wanted to be with Jim, her being part of the 16% of people around the world who would move if they had the chance. Her relations with Jim have made her learn about his culture and want to move there, but she can't do that illegally because it would add to the over 50% of illegal immigration that happens around the world. While Maria is trying to get over to America, Jim is working at the World Bank, which is an organization that promotes economic and social progression in developing countries by helping them raise productivity. Maria also works for a big organization that's called the LMF that helps members of government take advantage of big opportunities posed by globalization and economic development. Both organizations that they work for deal with political economy, which is a production of trade with the relations with the law. This would also deal with the national income and its wealth.
In the end, globalization is a positive force around the world. It helps benefit countries economically, socially, and politically. Although it can have its ups and downs, globalization as a whole helps the world grow between trade and migration. People and companies all around the world work together in hope to create a world that connects and communicates.